AATBirds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need.
Quick, he's going to go. They give it to Smith, and they stop it. Go back. He looks, fires for the end zone, intercepted, the 20, the 10, the 5, touchdown, Matt Ware, midfield, he's at the 40, he's going to go, Deshaun Jackson, he steps up, he's hit, and falls forward, and he fumbles the football, and the Eagles have it, it's gone, and the Eagles win.
It's all birds, all the time.
And welcome to another edition of AATBirds Weekly Report. I know everyone's mostly watching the Phillies and the Astros World Series game. With that, we're still going to break down the Eagles matchup on Thursday, the game tomorrow. We do have a guest, a pre-recorded guest, Seth Payne. So we'll get to that. I'll plug him and everything like that for Houston to kind of give us a little bit of a preview with this game upcoming. But of course, always joined by Mike Bauer down below, and then also joined by Adam Mack. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to start off with the recap of the Eagles' victory against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Basically, I would say almost domination of the game, I would say. 35-13 victory. Really great offensive game. The one thing with them was the chunk plays, the big play touchdowns, 4 25-yard plus touchdowns, which was the first since 1969 against the Steelers. So it's pretty ironic there that I saw that little stat. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But no, it's, got the win 7-0 and still number one in the NFC East. So, and of course, Mike gives the good old plug with that. But we'll start with you, Mike. What did you think of the game? What was your kind of your take on what you saw on Sunday?
We should all consider ourselves so lucky to get to watch A.J. Brown play football on a weekly basis. I don't know what else to say. You
could talk about the quarterback too.
Look, Jalen Hurts made some good throws, but a guy like A.J. Brown can help any quarterback compensate for poor throws. I've never seen, we were talking about this, Johnny. I've never seen an Eagles wide receiver like this before. T.O. was fantastic, big, physical. He could moss people. But A.J. Brown could do things that T.O. couldn't do. Like his lateral movement, his quickness, his explosiveness. I've just never seen an Eagles wide receiver like this before. We're spoiled.
Oh, hey, I think we deserve it. I'm going to say that. We deserve it with everything that we've gone through. And the one stat that I saw was on his 3 touchdowns, he had average separation. I think it was like 1.3 or 1.7 yards. So there wasn't a ton of separation, but he's just so strong. And it wasn't like he was going up against, a schlub. Minkah Fitzpatrick is one of the best, playmaking safeties in the game. Yes, and 2 of his touchdowns were over him. So to me, we're blessed to be able to watch him play football for the Eagles. Howie Roseman, thank you for making that deal, getting him. Not, hopefully, the other person I'll thank is Calvin Ridley. Thank you for the NFL being dumb and suspending you for what you did, because we may not have A.J. Brown, may have Calvin. Now, I'm not saying Calvin Ridley's not a great player, but
yeah,
hey,
I know what you're saying there.
Brown.
Look, Jalen had a good game. He didn't have to, one thing I really like is that Jalen Hurts is not running as much. That was a concern of mine earlier in the season. Mm-hmm. He had 2 carries for 10 yards. And really anything that we have negative to say about the offense, we're being really nitpicky. The only 2 things that I didn't like with the game, I saw Jalen kind of fall into some sacks or not be as aware in the pocket as I would like. And they still don't throw to the running backs the way I'd like them to. Again, this is all nitpicky stuff. My only concern with this week coming up, I hope it's not a trap game. Because games like this, you're going on the road on a short week. It's all the makings of a trap game. Houston runs the ball really well. Steven Nelson revenge game? Maybe, I don't know.
I don't think so. Adam, what do you think of? What was your take on the game this Sunday?
I think, we're always talking about, like, for the Eagles, like, all the stars. Like, obviously, A.J. Brown had a killer game, but, like, the pure depth that this team has on both sides of the ball were just phenomenal. Like, looking at, just who caught the ball is, like, obviously, Brown had a big 6-reception, 3-touchdown game, but Dallas Goedert also added 6 receptions. Zach Pascal got a big touchdown. Devontae Smith had 5 receptions. Like, we haven't seen a team like an Eagles team in a long time where the quarterback really has as many weapons as this team does. And I think that's going to be obviously one of the big reasons why we're 7-0 right now is because, we've had those, big kind of wide receivers like Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin, and even the Super Bowl run with Alshon and Nelson Aguilar's big one-hit wonder year. But this is a team where there's 6 guys that could all go off and have big monster games. So that's I've been playing a big strength, but even on the defensive side of the ball, like especially now with Jordan Davis being put on the IR, there's so many other guys that are going to step up into those roles where teams a couple years ago we didn't have that guy. If say Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham went down, we had no one to really step up in that role. Now we have Robert Quinn, all these different guys on the defensive line that can step up. So like the pure depth on this team is just insane to look at.
And yes, Jordan Davis goes on IR, high ankle sprain. They said timetable 4 to 6 weeks, but he's going to definitely miss at least 4 games. It is a tough blow, especially for the running game with the matchups and the players that you have down the line in the upcoming schedule. Teams that can run the ball, big time running backs. So you're going to need to see what they do in the aspect of who they deploy in that positional role. Is it going to be a lot of Tui Pelotu? Are they going to call up Marvin Wilson from the practice squad? So there's some things that they're going to have to figure out. And but look, the way the defense. What I loved seeing was, especially in the beginning of the game, the first possession for the Steelers was the stunts they were doing, and different variety of the defense, and that we didn't see earlier in the season. So that was pretty promising to see that. But it's just looking at this defense and the way they played. And then if the offense can start putting together, a lot of scoring. And of course they did score 14 points in the second half. So again, and they did take their starters out with 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. So
that's
basically
the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. So basically it's almost a quarter and a half. You scored 14 points. So
I'm sorry. Can I just jump in here? Did you see what Charlie Batch tweeted?
Oh God, yeah. I saw you comment back on that. It was great.
All right, so for those of you who don't know, Charlie Batch, former career backup for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm sorry, he was a starter in Detroit. Mind you.
The bad Detroit. Early, late 90s, early 2000s Detroit.
Yes. Then again, was there ever not a bad Detroit?
So here's the tweet that you're talking about. He posted, total disrespect. Philly has pulled all their starters with 9 minutes left in the game. Times have definitely changed around here.
Like, we have a short week. We have to travel. This is about player safety, which the NFL is supposed to be all about, right? They're all about player safety. Like, every time a team travels to London, they get a bye the week after, right?
They do.
Shut up, Charlie Batch. Seriously, dude. You're trash. Okay?
Yeah, he gets crying. I
had to chime in there.
I hear my neighbors upstairs yelling, so I was wondering why.
Maybe it's Charlie Batch.
It's one of those
it probably is. It's probably that tweet.
Probably. I don't think Charlie Batch could live at a house as nice as yours. But this is all about player safety. This isn't disrespect. And I'll tell you what, if you don't want to be disrespected by a team pulling their starters, play better.
Make the game close.
Yeah.
Score points.
Exactly. That's the big thing.
I will say this. The last thing I really have to say about the Steelers, I think they're going to be a good team in a few years. They have good pieces on offense. Their defense is getting a little bit older. This is a rare down year for the Steelers. I don't think it's going to be like this forever. No. Although, if you want to talk to somebody that's delusional, have a conversation with a Steelers fan.
Yeah, I've had a couple today, so I understand where you're coming from.
Oh, you got lucky. Ugh. right? Did you hear any of that?
That's why, a guy most touchdown passes in the game is no longer on the roster anymore.
By the way, I love that deal. Adam's referencing Chase Claypool getting moved to the Chicago Bears for a second-round draft pick. I love that deal for both parties. Claypool wasn't in the future plans for the Steelers. They got the Bears second-round pick, which is going to be
that was big. I think that's big because that could possibly be in the 40s. So
yeah. And the Bears got a legitimate wide receiver to go alongside Darnell Mooney. So you know what? They saw what the Eagles are doing with Jalen Hurts. You want a young quarterback to develop, give him weapons. That's exactly what they did. They gave Justin Fields another weapon, another tool in his tool chest. I like the move for both sides. Bears they're on the up and up. The Steelers are on the up and up, but they're not the 7-0 Philadelphia Eagles. And Adam, what does the rest of this week look like with the World Series schedule? Do you know? Because tonight the Phillies are playing. Tomorrow,
I think it's like the most. I think I've dedicated this week to hating Houston. I think we hate their baseball team currently. I mean, I've always hated their baseball team, but I hate them just a little bit more right now. Tomorrow,
you know how it's like to hate Houston and watch this team and how annoying they can be. I wish they were back in the National League where they belong, but that's a different show.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I'm so again. I can watch on 2 TVs tomorrow. One, the Eagles smacking the Texans, and then hopefully on the other screen, the Phillies holding up the World Series trophy. So, if the sports gods are gonna be any good to us tonight or tomorrow,
actually, what I kind of want is I want it to go to where the Phillies win it in Philly. Would be ideal for me.
So they have to win it tomorrow,
and they have to win tomorrow.
Oh, is it? Okay, that's right, because the game got pushed back a day. Forgive me, I'm all messed up. I kept thinking today was Tuesday. Today, I'm all screwed up.
Well, that's bad. I keep thinking today's Tuesday because it's Wednesday. And
happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. But in regards to the Eagles game again on Sunday, it was a great win. And the thing that they've the players keep saying is they haven't played a full 4 quarters yet, which is pretty scary to think about because if they haven't played a full 4 quarters yet, what is this team really going to look like? And I know they didn't make any trade deadline deals on deadline day. They still did get Robert Quinn, pass rusher from the Bears. Yeah, they didn't, dive into the market and get some of the players during the deadline. There were 10 trades, which crazy deadline. I didn't expect it to be that.
Fun.
The most trades on deadline day in NFL history.
Yeah,
awesome.
And
I loved it.
The thing is, you don't want to overpay, and that's. I think that was the key thing for the Eagles, looking at TJ Hawkinson going to the Vikings because the Vikings, Irv Smith is out 8 to 10 weeks with an ankle injury.
Garbage anyway.
Well, they get Hawkinson now, and they did swap some picks and do that kind of stuff, but there wasn't. Unfortunately, they didn't. The one player I could possibly have seen them going after, Naeem Hines, went to the Bills for Zach Moss and a 5th round pick, and so be it there. Eagles have Miles Sanders is playing great, and if you really need Trey Sermon could be your big back, and you have Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell. So, and of course Jalen Hurts can run the ball as well as tote the rock. So, I think in the eyes of that, yeah, it would stink, but we'll see if they go with a veteran, pick up maybe a veteran defensive tackle if Jordan Davis is going to be out, if they don't trust the other 2 younger players that they have on the roster. But all in all, looking at this team, you look at the trade deadline, you can't really be upset because if you look at what Howie Roseman did this offseason in terms of signing and trades and the draft and everything that they did leading up to what this team is right now, you have to be more than happy. The team is 7-0. The first 7-0 start since 2004. So, and if they win tomorrow night, it'll be the first 8-0 start. I'm not sure. Actually, I think it may be the first 8-0 start ever because really? 81 and 04 were the last time they were 6-0, and then 81 they lost in the 7th game, and then they lost in the 8th game in 2004. So this should be the first time the Eagles have ever been 8-0. I'm not sure they've ever finished.
Just looking ahead at the schedule, I hate to be this guy, but when are we going to lose a game? You're just our next. And I hate to be overly confident, but I'm looking at the schedule. I just don't know who matches up with us where they can really take us out easily.
I'm not going to say it's going to be taken out easily, but you're looking at the schedule. There could be one or two losses that you didn't expect that could happen. It happens every year. I'm not going to say that they're going to go undefeated, but if you look at the schedule and how everything lines up, the Commanders, which after tonight or tomorrow night's game, you have 11 days off.
Nice.
Until
nice
Monday night, which is almost like a mini bye. So it's nice there. And then you have the Colts. Again, the Colts have struggled. Sam Ehlinger is the quarterback. The Packers, they just can't offensively. They're averaging 18 points a game. So right now the Packers are struggling immensely with figuring out their identity on the offensive side of the ball without Devontae Adams. The Titans, Giants, Bears, and then of course you have Dallas Christmas Eve, then the Saints, Giants. I see what you're saying, Mike. I see where you're coming from with, there isn't really a loss that you can, hey, I could easily see them getting beat. Maybe it's the Dallas game in Dallas, but
yeah, that one. But I mean, I think if we're going to have a slip up game, I think it would be either the Packers or the Titans.
And Javier says, where do you guys see a loss that could happen?
That's where I'm seeing, if the Titans really commit to running the ball and you have Aaron Rodgers, anything could happen when Aaron Rodgers is on the field, even though
that's where
that team does not care about making their wide receiver core better. But
they got Sammy Watkins. It's all right.
Oh, isn't he on IR? I know that sounds weird, but
he's probably got a hamstring injury somewhere. I don't know.
He's terrible.
But
look at the Eagles' schedule though. We're favored to win every single game, but there's gonna be a slip up, especially those division games. Like the NFC East is a different division than it has been in recent years, where Washington and New York were those easy wins. Going into the Meadowlands is going to be a tough game, especially the way the Giants were playing at the first part of the season. Even anytime we go to Dallas, it's going to be a tough game. So, even those divisional games, they're not the easy wins anymore. Maybe Washington still is, but, New York and Dallas definitely aren't easy wins.
No, they're not. And it's going to be tough. I mean, even Tennessee, I know Tennessee has struggled in terms of scoring, but when you have Derrick Henry, it's going to be tough. The Colts, I don't really see them being that big of an issue with Ehlinger as the quarterback. You're in Indianapolis, though. Again, if you're going on the road, anything can happen. We know that, but this team is set up to, like Adam said, they're set up to be the favorite in the remaining games, and it was fun to watch them score a nice handful of points on Sunday, able to throw the ball deep, and able to put up multiple big play touchdowns. They were in the red zone, I believe, one time, and they had one play. It was the Miles Sanders touchdown run, and that was all.
They scored after halftime too.
They did 14 points, which is great, and
that's the big thing right there. That's a win in itself.
I agree too. I agree that is a huge win. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to play a video. It's going to be kind of it's what this show's about. It's the opposition outlook. It's looking at the Eagles' opponent come tomorrow, which is the Houston Texans. 1-5-1. They have struggled. They're a young team. They're trying to find themselves, but they've also got a boatload of injuries as well, which we'll get a little bit into after I play the video. Seth Payne was nice enough to send in a video to me to be able to play for you guys to kind of break down, preview the matchup. And you can find him at Seth C. Payne on Twitter. You can also find him, Seth C. Payne, on YouTube as well. Check out his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of great stuff on there. He's going to be coming out, I believe, with the new YouTube channel. He did mention the Seth Payne Show, so definitely keep an eye out for that. He's got some pretty cool interviews. He's got some good content on there as well. But he was nice enough. Sports Radio 610. He does the Payne and Pendergast show 6 to 10 a.m. I believe in Houston. So I'm going to play the video and see what he's got to say about this matchup with the Eagles and the Texans. So let's play it right now.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on. I got to tell you, This is a weird football team the Eagles are about to face. You guys are going to see what I'm saying. A lot of the previews out there right now are kind of gambling oriented because Thursday night football jumps on you so fast and nobody cares about the Texans. People are intrigued by the Eagles, but the AFC South just sucks TV ratings into nothingness. So a lot of those gambling previews are going to say, hey, the Texans are a plucky team, or they stick around, or they're tenacious, because a lot of these games have been tied or the Texans have been leading going into the fourth quarter. Don't buy any of that. This is a team that just has epic collapses in the fourth quarter. Defensively, just with scoring, they do all right, a little above average actually in the second and third quarters in terms of scoring defense. Then in the fourth quarter, they just fall off a cliff, 27th in scoring in the fourth quarter. A lot of it has to do just simply with the fact that they cannot stop the run. They cannot stop the run. This isn't an ambitious lock I'm going to give you, but Jalen Hurts will have a rushing touchdown in this game. I'll be surprised if he doesn't have two, but you can lock up one because they don't play with discipline. They don't have size. They just get washed all over the place. Receiving options, which would be fine, and you might be able to muddle your way through because, hey, they got Dameon Pierce, right? He's been a pleasant young surprise at running back. If you watched last week's game versus the Titans at all, the Texans' interior offensive line just got absolutely destroyed versus the Titans, who have a really good defensive line, don't get me wrong, but so do the Eagles. So, Hargrave and Reddick, and Reddick and some of these guys, like, Graham having this resurgence, you see this synergistic effect with the Eagles defense right now, where I think guys are playing above where you'd expect just because they're playing around so many other good defensive players. And I expect that Robert Quinn, who we saw earlier this year against Chicago, Robert Quinn got handled pretty well by Laramie Tunsil, the Texans left tackle. But I think Robert Quinn will probably have a resurgence too, because he's going to be in a different environment than he was in Chicago, obviously. I think that this is going to be an absolute bludgeoning. But if you watch Texans games like we unfortunately have to here, the scoreboard won't reflect it. They stick around. The Texans defense is 20. I want to say they're 31st in points per play allowed, which is bad, right? They're up at like 6 yards per play allowed. But then they're the sixth best red zone defense, fifth best red zone defense right now. So teams get into the red zone really, really easily. Yardage, the Texans are just giving up in huge chunks. They get into the red zone, and the defensive backs are the strength of the defense, the relative strength of the defense. So down in the red zone, they can take on more importance than significance because the dimensions are smaller. Geometry is their friend. So I think that accounts for their good red zone defense. And that's why I think it ends up being Jalen Hurts running the ball in. They'll get down into the red zone, and then the defensive backs can squash some of the passing game. The Texans are actually second in pass touchdowns allowed. Second. This horrendous defense. So that's something we're hanging our heads on for the future, that Derek Stingley and these guys might have something going here, but there's not going to be much of a challenge. And again, those interior offensive linemen, including the left guard, Kenyon Green, especially Kenyon Green, because he's a first-round pick, he's struggled. He's showing signs of just, trying to learn how to do all the technical stuff while maintaining some of his aggressiveness. But if I were to gamble on this game, I would say to take the under, just because the Texans are such a weird word football team. I hope you guys do well this season. I'll go ahead and make you my team of the NFC to cheer for. But of course, I hope the Phillies flame out in a disastrous end to this World Series. And you guys will be watching this when at least part of tonight's game will already be decided. So hopefully this ages well. Have a good one, and have a great time watching Thursday night. Thanks, guys.
All right. So a little bit of insight talking about the Texans. Weird football team, as he stated, but
They suck.
yeah, that was basically what I
want to
what
say.
I got out.
What do you want me to say? They fucking suck.
Yeah, they're not a good team. They're not a good team. They have some nice young players, but again, they're so beat up. Looking at their injury report, Nico Collins is out. One of their starting receivers. Most likely, Brandon Cooks looks like he probably won't play. Like he said, he's been out.
Too.
Even if he does, no one's going to throw him the ball anymore. After you badmouth the franchise as much as he has in the last 24 hours.
That's a bad situation there because he's also guaranteed $18 million next year. So good.
How did they not move him?
Well, it was because of
Who
that
wants to pay him $18 million next year?
Monday was the cutoff. So have the Eagles got Robert Quinn, and then the Bears were able to take some of the money and lessen the load to the Eagles after Monday. So Tuesday, when the trade deadline, you can't do that. You trade a player, you get his contract, and that's what you get. So that was a big hindrance, and also what they wanted to get for him. So that's what that was. But if those two guys aren't playing, they're two top receivers, and then Malik Collins are starting with defensive tackles out, and they have a couple backups that are out. As well. Plus, also, I did see that two other starters are nickelback. Desmond King is questionable, and there's one of their starting linebackers, Christian Harris, is questionable as well. So something to keep an eye on as the game gets a little bit closer. But they're a banged up football team. They've got a couple big time injuries there that I mentioned, stated there, but this team is struggled. They do it, like I said, they do have some young bright spots. Dameon Pierce has been a welcoming sight for Texans fans, and Derek Stingley, like Seth mentioned, has been playing really well as well. So I don't know. I think the Eagles, it's going to be an easy game in the fact that I feel like they're going to be able to control the game. Maybe it won't show on the scoreboard a lot of the game, but I think they're going to be able to win comfortably, meaning, by at least 10 to 14 points. So I think it should be an easy type of stress-free game, hopefully. But I don't know. To me, the Texans aren't really a major threat.
No, I think the Texans are just too banged up right now.
Yeah, Davis Mills
too banged up.
3-14-1 as a starting quarterback. He also, this is my favorite stat of his, 27 carries for 54 yards in his career. Yeah.
He can move a tiny bit, but he's not a mobile threat. So yeah, we have that. No, just I'm trying to think. Cam Johnston's their punter, so
I will say I wish they would have paid Cam Johnston. He was a good punter.
I agree with you there. I liked him as a punter. He was a good player. But also to note in terms of injury, talking Houston wise, they do have a couple notable players on the IR. Of course, John Mechie III is battling cancer, so for him, I know that's just beyond football. But then they're starting nickelback from last year. Tavere Thomas is on IR. Jonathan Grenard, one of their edge rushers, is on IR. Their starting center, who played in the first game of the year, Justin Britt, is on IR. And then Kevin Pierre-Louis, one of their special teamers and or extra linebackers, is on IR as well. So, yeah, they're a pretty beat-up team. So, like I said, this should be a pretty easy game. And the thing, if Nico Collins and Brandon Cooks doesn't play because Nico Collins isn't playing, their lineup for the receivers, their starting receivers, are Chris Moore, Philip Dorsett, and Tyron Johnson. And of course, they'll probably call up somebody from the practice squad, whether that's Jalen Camp or Michael Young Jr. or Davian Davis. So Yeah,
Gross.
that's a pretty a tough wide receiver room if you don't have Cooks going along with Nico Collins. So could be a pretty big field day in terms of the Eagles playing a lot down the box to control Damian Pierce not being able to run the ball and them not being able to move the football that way and having Davis Mills try to throw to those threats. Now they do have OJ Howard and Brevin Jordan at tight end position. So, but again, if you're able to get pressure like the Eagles were doing this Sunday against the Steelers, I think it should be a pretty controllable, easy game. But I think it's kind of hard to break this game down. There isn't really a ton to talk about because of the situation of the Texans, and we kind of know what kind of football team they are, and we know what the Eagles are. So I think that gives us a little bit of play to get into a segment that we all love and we all enjoy.
It's time for the Ulecka Locks of the week. Who's your lock?
So as I go into last week's Ulecka Locks, so we had Mike did send his in. It was
Sorry I couldn't make it last week, everybody.
it's okay. We forgive you.
Everyone's like, thank God he wasn't on.
Yeah. So you had Chicago beating Dallas. Yeah, that unfortunately didn't happen. They did
Really
go
hopeful on that one.
a little bit wrong on that one. Adam had the Jets beating the Patriots. Yeah.
Looks like
the
Adam
Jets-
and I were the eternal optimists last week, but it didn't quite work out for us.
Yeah. Peanut had Hertz had two second half touchdowns. He only had one passing second half touchdown. The other one was Miles Sanders' run. So that one was wrong as well. Our guest did not give us a lock. And my lock was Eagles defense, 2 turnovers and 4 sacks. They had 2 turnovers and 6 sacks. So
No dice, you lose.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
you're kind of wrong.
I think I'm kind of right because they had more. So I'm going to take that win.
I would take the dub on that one.
I'm going to take the dub on that one. And if I'm not mistaken, no, I didn't. Okay. I thought I had it like 3 in a row or 4 in a row, but I didn't because of week 7. I got that one wrong. So no dice on that. But brings us to this week, week 9. What are the Ulecka Locks? I'll start with you, Adam.
All right, I'll keep it with the Eagles. Looking at this game against Houston, I think they're gonna win the game. I mean, they're gonna win the game, but I think it's gonna be based off the rushing. I'm gonna say that separate individuals have rushing touchdowns. My assumption is Sanders, either Scott or Gainwell, but Jalen Hurts also gets a little into the mix.
All right. I'll just put 3 rushing touchdowns, different backs, whatever, different people. So you don't have to name names. We name names.
It's a good call. Houston's run defense is not good.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And, for Mike, I'm going to give you let you have your lock now. Go ahead.
My lock, it was close to Adams. It's going to be Miles Sanders over 125 yards rushing. He adds at least 1 touchdown to that.
Over 120 yards rushing?
125 yards. I want that extra 5 yards.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Yeah, hey, he had only 9 rushes for 78 yards. Looking to get him more involved this
efficient,
week.
though.
Oh, yeah, no, very.
They didn't need him. That's the thing. They really.
Not when you're throwing the ball deep and getting those long touchdowns, because Pittsburgh led the game in time of possession because the Eagles scored so quickly. We don't usually see that. Usually the Eagles control the clock, move the ball, short little spurts in terms of that. But my Ulecka lock for this week is I'm going to go the Jalen Hurts route, and he is going to have 1 passing touchdown, and he will have 2 rushing touchdowns. So 3 total touchdowns tomorrow night. 1 pass TD, 2 rushing TDs. Now it gives us our Ulecka Locks. Now we're getting to our predictions for this upcoming game. I'll go over last week's predictions. So last week, Adam had a very high-scoring game, 42-35 Eagles. It wasn't that close. Eagles almost had 42 points, so you were almost close on that one. Mike had Pittsburgh winning, so he was way off there.
That's right. And I was mad because Jalen Hurts wearing that Houston Astros shit. That's why I picked the Eagles to lose. That's why. I'm salty.
Yeah. Salty, and yet you got wrong. So our guest had the Eagles winning 31-17, so I'd say he was the closest. Peanut didn't give us a prediction because they were doing the pregame show so I didn't take a prediction from him. And then my prediction was 27-19 Eagles. So we all had the Eagles winning on that, except for Mike, of course. So it brings us to this week. I'll start with you, Mike, this time. What is your prediction for this game?
We roll in 35-10.
That'd be a nice little
It
cruise
might be.
into the weekend then.
Ladies and gentlemen, it might be over by halftime.
Hey, and I'll be happy with that. You know, I will be happy with that. Adam, what is your prediction for tomorrow night?
I think it's not going to be. Eagles are going to focus on defense. I think it's going to be a big defensive game. I don't think Houston can really score with the weapons that they have on the field. They have no pass game this week, and if they can control the run game, they're not going to move the ball. But knowing the Eagles, they'll give up a stupid touchdown somewhere in there. So I'm going to go 27-7 for the Eagles.
Oof. So another fun little fact here is the Eagles have not shut out an opponent since 2018, December of 2018. So
they're going to give up a garbage touchdown somewhere. You know that's how they do it.
That was a good
First drive out of the half, first drive to start the
Washington.
game. They're going to do something stupid.
Okay.
last game of the year against Washington.
Okay.
This game is going to be. The Eagles are going to be able to control this game. I don't think they're going to be able. I don't think they're going to score a ton of points because I think it's going to be over. They're going to put some backups into early into the fourth quarter. I'm going to go Eagles get the win 24-6. So, like I said, I think it's going to be that type of game. Hopefully they score more points than that. But again, a Thursday night, there's always those quirky type of things. So 24-6. And all three touchdowns will be Jalen Hurts with my lock and my prediction. Just realized that now. But, hey, let's get the W. Let's move to 8-0 and still see the Cowboy fans complaining about the Eagles game all over. It is just fun. It's fun to be. This season has been enjoyable. It's been very, very fun. And let's just keep it rolling, boys. With that, I don't have much else. Let you guys get back to watching the rest of your World Series game. And there you go. He's got the Phils on. Hopefully your Phillies get the win against those.
It's not looking too good at the moment. So we'll focus on the Eagles for right now.
The asterisks. But so with that, as we end every AATBirds weekly report and AATBird show, very happy and cheerful. Go Birds.
Go Phillies.
Go Phillies.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.